Naruto was covered in claw marks. For the third time in one day, he and his team were forced to track down a ninja cat as one of their D-rank missions. Fortunately, he was the least injured since he had soul speed in his arsenal. In the last 3 months, he'd learned how to control it almost perfectly, though he still had the occasional uncontrolled burst. He knew Sasuke had been training as always, but he didn't know if Sakura was training outside of missions. Kakashi rarely had them all train together, and trained with them individually even less. If Naruto was being honest, Kakashi wasn't much of a teacher despite how powerful he was. In addition, their sensei had yet to mention Naruto's 5 nature affinities to him. He hadn't shown anything besides his wind style to the team, but assumed the Hokage told the Jonin about his secret. But Kakashi never brought it up. "Alright, let's take this cat back and get a new mission," Kakashi muttered. "If we're lucky, it'll be something simple." "Lucky for you, you mean," Naruto groaned back. "You do nothing while we do manual labor. I can't even remember the last time you actually trained us." Kakashi sighed. "Fine, I'll teach you something new today, after we finish this mission. How about I take the cat and you head over to the training grounds?" Before the Genin could react, Kakashi was gone with the ninja cat in tow. Naruto looked over to his teammates. Sasuke was dusting himself off, while Sakura was staring at the claw marks along her arms. Naruto sighed and tossed her a roll of bandages. "Fix yourself up, then we'll go." Sakura looked at the bandages for a moment, then looked at Sasuke, who averted his gaze. She shook her head. "I'll be fine, really." Naruto shrugged, a grin spreading across his face. "Last one to the training grounds has to pay for lunch." Naruto was on the move, leaving Sasuke to stare at him with annoyance. He dashed after the blonde, leaving Sakura to slowly catch up with the two. The blonde could easily stay in front thanks to his soul speed jutsu. However, he didn't want to use it while running on the rooftops, in case he lost control and caused some damage. And without it, Sasuke was slightly faster than him. The Uchiha was neck and neck with him as they vaulted over a rooftop garden. But Naruto misjudged the area he had to land, causing him to be too close to the edge of the building. And since the roof was wet thanks to the owner's garden, he slipped. He landed with a thud in front of the Yamanaka flower shop, much to Ino and her mother's surprise. "Naruto?" Ino asked, running out to check on him. Naruto groaned as he sat up, Sasuke landing beside him. Ino paused when she saw him. Naruto noticed, but didn't say anything as the Uchiha and Yamanaka helped him to his feet. "You okay, idiot?" Sasuke asked as Naruto rubbed his head. "Yeah, I'll live." "How did you fall anyway?" Ino asked, checking him over for any injury. "I guess I slipped on some water on the roof," Naruto grumbled, flexing his arms and legs. "Water?" Ino thought aloud. "Oh, right, we watered the flowers up there a few minutes ago." The 3 Genin turned to the sound of Ino's mother walking up to them. She had light brown eyes with similar hair, tied in a bun with a red ribbon. Naruto could instantly tell what she was about to ask. Ino had become impassive to Naruto, not liking or disliking him. But her mother was a different story. "And why exactly were you on our roof?" the woman asked in a serious tone. "We were heading to the training grounds." "I didn't know this was your place," Naruto answered. Ino's mother wasn't buying it, even though it was the truth. She continued to stare down at him, even when Ino tried to pull her away. People were starting to take notice of the commotion. Sakura had finally caught up with them, landing a short distance away. She noticed the growing number of onlookers, as well as the staring contest between the blonde and Ino's mother. It made her nervous for some reason. "I find that excuse hard to believe," Ino's mother stated. "I can verify his story, Miss Yamanaka," Sasuke countered, stepping in between her and Naruto. "I was up there with him. The only difference is I didn't fall," Sasuke said, looking at Naruto smugly. Naruto rolled his eyes as Sakura joined them. Ino once again tried to pull her mother back to the shop, but she still didn't budge. How can I be sure the brat hasn't put you under his control, Uchiha? Sasuke glared daggers at the woman, his voice adopting a dark tone. If the idiot had that kind of power, he would have used it to make you shut up a long time ago. Ino's mother winced, taking a tiny step back from Sasuke's harsh words. Even Ino and Sakura were taken aback, as were the onlookers around them. He's a demon, the woman spat. Just because you're an Uchiha doesn't mean you can't be controlled. Clearly you can't take a hint, Sasuke replied forcefully, making her sweat. I'm telling you to leave Naruto alone. I don't care what you think he is, he's my teammate. And on top of that, he's never done anything to deserve the treatment the likes of you give him. Sasuke turned to Naruto and Sakura, beckoning them to follow. Naruto glanced at him, then at Ino's mother. Her anger was still focused on him, but she appeared to be distraught by Sasuke's words. Ino looked at him, motioning for him to follow Sasuke. The blonde gave a slight nod before running off, Sakura close behind. Perhaps Ino wasn't as bad as he thought she was. The run to the training grounds was made in silence. Sakura felt the tension in the air, but was too afraid to speak up about it. Naruto stopped as Sasuke landed in one of the trees. The Uchiha turned to face him as Sakura stopped behind them. Naruto, now that we are away from everyone, I want you to tell me why the villagers treat you like that. Naruto blinked. What do you mean? Sasuke sighed. Don't play dumb. I've seen the way you've been treated in the past, ever since we were in the academy. It's gotten annoying, and I want to know the truth. Naruto could tell how serious he was. There was no way he could escape answering. He looked back to Sakura. He wasn't sure if she should hear the truth, especially since she still held animosity towards him. If either of them knew the truth, the minuscule amount of trust they'd built together as comrades might shatter in an instant. He looked back to Sasuke, whose expression remained stern. He made his decision, and mentally prepared himself for the potential consequences. I'm sorry, Sasuke. And you too, Sakura. But I can't tell you the full truth just yet. He scratched the back of his head. To be honest, even I don't know the full truth. And if I do tell you, our team will suffer because of it. Does Kakashi-sensei know at least? Sasuke asked. The Hokage knows more than I do, and I assume he's told Kakashi-sensei. Sasuke sighed again, looking to Sakura. What about you, Cherry Tree? Do you think he should tell us anyway? Sakura was startled by his question. She was immediately going to say yes, because Sasuke wanted to know too. But when she glanced at Naruto, she paused. His eyes were different. There was desperation in them. Desperation to keep this secret. She couldn't understand why, but she found herself shaking her head no. She still didn't like the blonde, but the vulnerability he was showcasing made her second-guess herself. Sasuke groaned. Fine, keep your secrets. You obviously can handle yourself. But someday, you will tell us. Got it? Naruto nodded slowly as Sasuke continued towards the training grounds. Sakura walked up to him, seeing his relieved expression. The blonde turned to her, adopting a smile. Thanks for that, Sakura. Sakura's eyes widened for a second. She wasn't used to Naruto being so appreciative, especially towards her. She cleared her throat and huffed. Don't thank me. I still don't like you. I just don't want to deal with your drama. Yeah, I thought so, Naruto admitted, with a sense of pain behind the words that Sakura barely registered. Sakura ran to catch up with Sasuke, Naruto close behind, an uncomfortable silence looming over them. The three made it to the field a few seconds before Kakashi appeared, still holding his book. The Genin were beginning to think he always had it on him. "Okay, students, I'm going to teach you something that I mastered before I even finished my first year in the academy. The tree walk." The Genin looked at him confused. "But we already know how to climb trees," Sakura said. Kakashi sighed. "Not like this, you don't," he stated, walking towards a nearby tree. He planted his foot against the side of the tree and began to walk up vertically. By focusing chakra into the bottom of your feet, you can climb any solid surface. With enough practice, you can even walk on water. The Genin stared in shock as Kakashi continued all the way to the top of the tree. He said their objective was to reach the top of the tree by the end of the day. Hearing that, they got to work. Sakura immediately began walking up the tree, much to the boys' annoyance. But it was to be expected, since her chakra control was so refined. Naruto started drawing parallels between the tree walk and his soul speed jutsu. Both required the use of chakra in their feet, just in different ways. Soul speed only needed a sudden burst, while this needed a constant stream. Knowing that, Naruto began his ascent. It was slow, since he needed to constantly monitor his chakra use, making sure not to use too much or too little. Sasuke was having the hardest time, still unable to take more than a single step. Sakura reached the top of the first hour, with Naruto still only halfway. Sasuke was barely off the ground. He wasn't used to monitoring his chakra, since he never found a need to until now. Naruto was sweating. He was in a similar boat, he just had superior stamina. But he was just about spent. So he stopped climbing and let himself fall back to the ground. He landed gracefully beside Sasuke, who was staring at the tree with annoyance. The blonde glanced at him. He doubted Sasuke would ask for or accept help, so he didn't bother bringing it up. He instead sat down to meditate. He found it was an easy way to replenish his energy, especially when surrounded by nature. He'd even gone so far as to make a special location a short distance from his waterfall home, specifically for meditating. 2 hours went by, and Sasuke was able to catch up to Naruto's best. They only had 3 hours before the sun dipped beyond the horizon. Sakura and Kakashi had gone home a while ago, leaving the two boys behind. Naruto finished his meditation, now rejuvenated and with a plan in mind. He stood just as Sasuke landed with a sickening thud. The Uchiha groaned, glaring at the blonde. Naruto rolled his eyes, walking up to the tree. He gently placed his foot against it, chakra building up in the bottom of his feet. Slowly, he brought his other foot up, making him now stand sideways. After taking a few small steps, he started to pick up the pace. Sasuke watched him with surprise. The blonde was making incredible progress. Treat this like you're using soul speed, Naruto thought. Don't continuously pump chakra to your feet. Instead, every time you raise your foot to take a step, stop focusing chakra. Then, when you put your foot down, channel chakra into your feet again. That way, it's not too far from soul speed. The only difference is that tree climbing uses a calm stream of chakra instead of a powerful one. Naruto smiled. He was easily running up the tree now with his new strategy. Within a minute, he made it to the top of the tree. He looked out towards the hidden leaf, the sun beginning to fade beyond the horizon. He looked down at Sasuke, who was running as fast as he could up his own tree, attempting to reach the top before his focus deteriorated. He managed to make it halfway before he began to fall back to the ground. Naruto climbed back down the tree, seeing the Uchiha's furious expression. Naruto didn't dare look at him with any expression other than indifference. Otherwise, Sasuke would have snapped at him. The best way to go about this, in my opinion, is to use bursts of controlled chakra. Naruto stared blankly as the Uchiha stood. That's all the help I can give you. Sasuke scoffed as he started again up the tree. Naruto closed his eyes and turned to leave. It was best if Sasuke didn't have a spectator. The Uzumaki's forest haven, as he called it, was on the far side of the village, and since he'd used most of his chakra on the tree walk, he wasn't able to take the rooftops back, which meant he had to take the streets and deal with the glares as usual. "You're looking gloomy this evening." Naruto jumped at Kakashi's sudden appearance. The Jonin was flipping through his book as usual. "Why do you say that?" Naruto asked. "It's because of the stairs, right?" Kakashi answered. Naruto twitched. "So, you do know." "I'm a Jonin, of course I know. I was named your sensei for that exact reason. That, and because the Hokage asked me to." Naruto frowned. "So, how do you see me?" Kakashi stopped his reading, looking directly into Naruto's eyes. "You're my student, just like Sasuke and Sakura. Nothing will change that. The fox is not your fault. You've simply been given an incredible burden." Naruto let out the breath he didn't know he was holding in. Now he knew where Kakashi stood, which was a good thing to know. Of course, he could be lying, but Kakashi didn't seem like the man who would do such a thing. "Although, I would be interested in your training regimen," Kakashi said suddenly. "What do you mean?" Naruto asked. "You knew how to use elemental ninjutsu when you first became a genin, despite never being taught. With Sasuke, it's not too surprising, since he likely got training from his parents before they were killed. But you've had no such help." Naruto furrowed his brow. Should he tell Kakashi about his 5 elemental affinities? Did he really need to know? Naruto learned about Kakashi's reputation a while back. Apparently, the Jonin had learned over 1,000 ninjutsu of various elemental types. He didn't know how Kakashi achieved such a feat, but it was impressive nonetheless. If Kakashi was willing to teach him how to use ninjutsu, perhaps it would be worthwhile to tell him the truth. Naruto looked back at the Jonin. "I'll tell you my secret, but you have to agree to 2 conditions." Kakashi shrugged. "It depends on the conditions, so let's hear them." "The first is that you can't tell Sasuke, Sakura, or anyone else until I allow you to. Or until they find out for themselves." "That's fine with me, but might I know why?" Kakashi asked. "Sakura just doesn't need another reason to dislike me. As for Sasuke, he doesn't need his rival to suddenly have more strength than him." Kakashi nodded. "I get that. And what's your second condition?" Naruto took a deep breath. "You must promise me that you will help us train, for real. Today's the first day you've actually taught us, and unless you want the Nine Tails to join another squad, you'll have to take your job seriously." Kakashi saw pure determination in Naruto's eyes. He was dead serious. In addition, Kakashi knew the boy's words were true. He had been neglecting them, partially because he wanted them to show some initiative, but mainly because he wasn't motivated to teach. "Very well, Naruto. You have my word that I will transform Team 7 into a powerhouse of genin, and that I will not tell a soul about your secret." Kakashi was sincere. Naruto could tell that much, mostly because the Jonin had put away his book for once, giving him his full attention. Naruto exhaled, reaching out his palm. "In that case, I need a few pieces of chakra paper. 5 will be enough." Kakashi shrugged, handing the blonde a wad of chakra paper. The blonde then ducked into a nearby alley, not wanting to be seen. Kakashi followed, casting a small genjutsu around them to prevent onlookers from seeing them. Naruto took the first square of paper in his left hand, channeling chakra through his arm. The paper split perfectly in half, proof of Naruto's affinity for wind chakra. Kakashi raised an eyebrow when Naruto took the second piece, channeling chakra once more. The paper burst into flames, quickly turning to ash. "So, you have fire style as well," Kakashi muttered. "An impressive combination." "I'm not done yet," Naruto muttered, taking the second piece. The paper instantly turned wet, indicating an affinity for water style. Naruto then took the last 2 pieces. One turned to dirt and crumbled away. The second folded in on itself in dozens of wrinkles. All 5 chakra natures. Kakashi breathed out in astonishment. Yep, Naruto muttered. I found out years ago and kept it hidden all my life. Wind style is the only element I've used in public. How many know about this? Kakashi asked, taking the crumpled piece of chakra paper. Shikamaru Nara, Iruka Sensei, the Hokage, and now you, Naruto answered. And I plan to keep it that way for now. So don't go spreading this fact around, even to your fellow Jonin, Naruto stated dangerously. Kakashi knew the severity of Naruto's predicament. All 5 elements naturally, upon having the 9-tailed fox. The blonde was going to become a dangerous shinobi, if he didn't get targeted and taken out early. Anyone in their right mind would kill or capture someone with either of those powerful abilities. I did promise to keep your secret, and that's what I'll do, Kakashi muttered. And I suppose I'll have to fulfill our second agreement, starting tomorrow, that is. You'll teach us measly Genin? Naruto snorted. I don't have much of a choice. Your secret has only reinforced the fact. Like it didn't before, Naruto replied sarcastically. Kakashi sighed. You should know I never planned to be your sensei. And teaching isn't my forte. I'm learning just as you are. The Jonin gave the blonde an eye smile. But don't worry, I'll make the 3 of you into impressive shinobi. I can assure you that. Naruto nodded, relieved he was going to have a proper sensei from now on. And so long as Naruto kept Kakashi's fear of losing a Jinchuriki to another team prevalent, he knew the Jonin would stay true to his word. Even though Kakashi held no hostility towards him as a Jinchuriki, he knew he was still under obligation to keep him on his team and have an eye on him. Kakashi undid the genjutsu around them, turning to leave, taking a book from his pouch. But instead of his regular book, it was a notebook. Naruto managed to sneak a glance at it as they exited the alleyway. What he saw in the pages made his skin run cold. You've been holding out on us, Kakashi-sensei, and I can't tell if that's a good thing anymore. Don't worry, kid. Most of this is my own training regimen. You won't be dealing with anything too excessive. You would be dead by the first hour if you did. Naruto groaned. The next few days were going to be hell. And for some reason, Naruto felt unbridled excitement welling up inside him. If you like what you just heard, consider hitting the subscribe button and bell icon to get notified about new videos. If there's a part you've missed, then check out the entire playlist on screen. If you like this story, please share it with your fellow anime lovers. Any support helps a lot. That's all for now. This is Ninja Kai, disappearing in a golden flash.